These teenage sisters believe they're haunted by a poltergeist.
I was going to ask the same question as I asked earlier. How many voices are there?
600.
600 the voices.
I know the joke.
From August 1977 to September 1978,
The town of Enfield was North London. The kid I was a very outgoing child, very energetic. I love swimming and I love sports.
the world witnessed one of the most unnerving and well-documented poltergeist cases in history.
As I grew up, I had access to an 80,000 volume library. And I read from that library extensively about religion, all the religions of the world. And I was really an atheist at that point when we moved to the farm.
The Enfield Poltergeist. A family in North London was thrust into an unimaginable nightmare, as their home became the epicenter of bizarre supernatural activity. This case not only captured the public's imagination but also raised haunting questions about the nature of reality itself. Was the Enfield Poltergeist a case of genuine supernatural phenomena, or could it be explained away by more earthly causes? This is the story of the Enfield Poltergeist, a case that shook the world. A family's nightmare unfolds. The story began on August 30, 1977, in a typical council house on Green Street in Enfield, North London. Peggy Hodgson, a single mother, lived in the home with her 4 children, Janet, Margaret, Peter, and Johnny. One night, Janet complained that her bed was wobbling. At first, her mother dismissed it as a typical sibling prank. But the following night, things escalated dramatically. At around 9:30 p.m. on August 31, Peggy heard a loud crash coming from the children's bedroom. When she went upstairs to check, she was confronted by a bizarre scene. A chest of drawers by the door was inexplicably pulling itself out, and when Peggy tried to push it back, it resisted, as if something unseen was pushing it back. This was just the beginning. The police witnessed extraordinary events. Terrified, Peggy called her neighbors, Vic and Petty Nottingham, who came over to investigate. They witnessed small objects, like toy bricks, being hurled through the air. The frightening disturbances escalated, prompting Peggy to call the police for help. When 2 officers arrived, they found nothing at first, but as they inspected the house, the disturbances began once more. A large armchair in the living room suddenly moved, apparently of its own volition, across the floor. P.C. Heaps, one of the officers, would later provide a statement affirming that he witnessed the chair levitating. Though the police were powerless to stop the phenomenon, their testimony added weight to the strange events. It was not just the family reporting these events, it was trained, skeptical professionals as well. The story breaks. On September 4, 1977, news of the events in Enfield broke when the Daily Mirror sent reporter Doug Benson and photographer Graham Morris to investigate. Initially skeptical, they quickly found themselves witnessing the bizarre phenomena firsthand. Furniture was flipping over, marbles and toy bricks were flying through the air, and objects would defy the laws of physics. The media quickly descended on the house, eager to witness the spectacle and capture photographic evidence. Morris took a series of photographs, some of which appeared to show Janet levitating or floating in midair. These images would become iconic in the paranormal world, though they would also be the subject of intense scrutiny and debate. Debunking or discovery? As the events continued, a series of experts were brought in to investigate. Maurice Gross, a member of the Society for Psychical Research, SPR, became involved in the case. He had a calm and objective approach, carefully documenting the events while considering alternative explanations. However, as the days passed, Gross was increasingly convinced that the phenomena were genuine. Alongside him was Guy Leon Playfair, a more seasoned investigator with experience in dealing with similar cases. Playfair's background as a journalist also allowed him to approach the case with a unique perspective, balancing skepticism with an open mind. Despite their efforts, however, questions began to emerge about the authenticity of some of the events. Were the children, particularly Janet, faking some of the phenomena? While there were certainly moments of genuine terror and confusion, there were also instances where the girls admitted to mimicking the strange events. But even as the family's credibility was called into question, there was still a wealth of inexplicable evidence to contend with. Marbles and Lego bricks would fly across the room with no apparent force behind them. Heavy chairs would overturn in full view of multiple witnesses. A growing divide. As the investigation progressed, skepticism continued to grow within the Society for Psychical Research itself. While Gross and Playfair remained firm in their belief that the events were genuine, many of their colleagues were less convinced. Some even questioned the methods and objectivity of the investigators, with some believing that Grossi's personal loss, the death of his own daughter, may have clouded his judgment. Yet, despite the doubts surrounding some of the investigators' conclusions, the sheer volume of unexplained events continued. The photographs, the eyewitness testimonies, and the physical evidence all pointed to something more than mere trickery. The focus of the phenomena. One of the most puzzling aspects of the Enfield Poltergeist case was the focus of the activity on Janet Hodgson. It seemed that whenever Janet was present, the activity intensified. This raised questions. Was Janet somehow the cause of these disturbances, either consciously or unconsciously? Was there a connection between the onset of puberty and the eruption of these paranormal events? Research into poltergeist activity suggests that it often centers around young people, especially those on the verge of puberty. Psychokinesis, the ability to move objects with the mind, has been theorized to be a potential explanation for some poltergeist phenomena, with the onset of adolescence providing the chemical and emotional energy necessary to trigger such events. Was Janet a passive participant in her own haunting, or was she the unwitting conductor of the chaos around her? The answer remains elusive, but the idea of psychokinesis provides a fascinating potential explanation. A malevolent presence. As the activity escalated, something even more disturbing began to manifest. Janet, at the age of 12, began to speak in a deep, guttural voice, one that seemed to come from an external entity. This voice was unlike anything a young girl could produce. Even speech therapists and vocal experts were baffled by the phenomenon, unable to explain how such a voice could come from someone of Janet's age. The voice, which sounded like a malevolent entity, spoke in riddles, curses, and even claimed to be the spirit of a man named Bill, who had died in the house years before. Strangely, the voice seemed to have knowledge of events and people that Janet could not have known. Could this be the voice of a trapped spirit, or was it something else entirely? The notion that Janet was channeling a spirit from the past raised profound questions about the nature of consciousness, death, and the afterlife. A lingering legacy. By November 1977, after months of terrifying disturbances, the phenomena began to subside. The Hodgson family moved out of the house for a brief period, and the activity seemed to calm down. Despite various attempts to close the case, questions remained. Was the Enfield Poltergeist a true supernatural event, or was it a product of the family's tumultuous circumstances? The story would live on in the public consciousness, inspiring books, documentaries, and debates that continue to this day. The mystery of the Enfield Poltergeist remains unsolved, leaving us to wonder, could it have been real? And if so, what does that mean for our understanding of reality itself? In 1980, Guy Leon Playfair published his book, This House is Haunted, a detailed account of the investigation, which became a crucial resource for paranormal enthusiasts and skeptics alike. But even now, the case continues to stir debate, as new theories and questions arise about the strange events that transpired on Green Street. The legacy of the Enfield Poltergeist is one of mystery and fascination. It challenges our understanding of the natural world and our place within it. The question still lingers. Could it happen to you? If it could happen in a normal house in North London, then perhaps the line between the known and the unknown is thinner than we think. You don't want to miss our next mind-bending story, the disappearance of Susan Powell. Make sure you're subscribed, because the mysteries just keep getting darker, and you'll regret not being here when the truth is revealed. Hit that bell, so you're always the first to know what's coming next.